Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
Opening week continues for your Rangers this afternoon when they wrap up the season opening series against the A's. Today, Nick Martinez returns to the rotation, having won a job in a hard-fought competition in Arizona. His spring performance looked as if Nick is ready to build on his rookie season in the big leagues. From the East Bay in Northern California, the Rangers hope to come away from Oakland with a series split. It's coming up next on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T Uverse TV. Well, it is a beautiful Thursday afternoon here on the shores of the San Francisco Bay, Oakland, California, where your Texas Rangers and the Oakland Athletics get set to wrap up this four-game series. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Greaves, Steve Busby. Delighted you could join us for this afternoon affair. Rangers trying to get back on the winning side of things and even this series up before they come back home. This afternoon, they have the only member holding over from the starting rotation of 2014 to 2015, and that's Nick Martinez.
Nick Martinez made this team buzz last year with very little minor league experience, and in the first part of the season he had some tough times. Good thing for Nick was he got better as the season went on, especially his last 6 starts. Last month of the season he was at the top of his game, but he wasn't guaranteed anything coming into spring training. There was competition for the 5th starter spot. He had to go to spring training and earn it, and he did. He pitched very well. His ERA was under 4, good strikeout to walk ratio. He deserves to be here. He earned the right to be here, and I'm sure he's excited about his first start this afternoon.
He was able to build off of a great finish to the 2014 season. Took that into spring training, and Nick will get the start here against the A's this afternoon. He's 1-1 career-wise against Oakland. So in the sunshine, Rangers finishing up his first stop of 2015. Ruben Odor, Elvis Andrews and company getting set to take on the Oakland A's. We'll have it up next for you on Fox Sports Southwest.
order. Adrian Beltre at third base, batting third. Prince Fielder will DH today. He'll bat fourth, followed by Ryan Rua and Mitch Moreland at first base. Elvis Andrus batting seventh today at shortstop, followed by Rougned Odor, and Carlos Corporan will catch and bat ninth.
And the Rangers facing Kendall Graveman, who deals the first pitch on this sunny Thursday afternoon for ball one.
First pitch.
Who deals the first pitch on this sunny Thursday afternoon for ball one.
First pitch.
Leonys Martin, 3 out of 12 in the series so far. And Graveman, 24-year-old out of Alexander City in Alabama, came out of Mississippi State University. Was part of that trade group that came over from Toronto. This is just his third professional season. Made his major league debut last September with the Blue Jays. He was their 8th round pick in 2013. Had a meteoric rise through the minor leagues last year. Pitched at A-ball, AA, AAA, and the big leagues all in one season. And ball four, Leonys Martin starting off by getting aboard on the walk. Yeah, we'll take a look now at the A's defense backing up Kendall Graveman.
The second position, right fielder.
Outfield of Canna, Fool, and Zobrist, left, center, and right. On the infield, Davis at first, Sogard and Simeon up the middle. Brett Lowry at third, Stephen Vogt back behind the plate here this afternoon. And Kendall Graveman, a 6'2" right-hander. There's a fastball that Shin-Soo Choo couldn't connect with. It is 0-1.
Yeah, Buzz, you talked about all the places that Graveman played last year. Twice he played in 2 different A-ball teams. So once he got to Toronto, that was his 5th different city for his home team last year.
And Choo ropes one to right field for a base hit. A walk single. Rangers have their first 2 men aboard here in the first inning for the middle of that order. That's going to be kind of unusual. A guy get a look at Choo's swing on that low fastball. For a guy, though, to play on 5 different teams in the same organization in 1 year.
That's very unusual. Very unusual to start out in low A ball and end up in the big leagues in the same year. I think he only pitched one game in AA before he was on his way to AAA. So they must have had big leagues in their sights for September for him.
Here's Adrian Beltre, who takes inside for ball one. And Adrian, try to remember not to step out of the box completely. You need to keep 1 foot in that box, and Adrian's had a little trouble getting that into his repertoire. He's one of those guys that stepped out, stepped quickly back in, and that's a no-no anymore. The pace of play rules specify that a hitter needs to keep 1 foot in the batter's box at all times. The throw into center field. Martin to third base, and into second is Choo. Now, Graveman looked like he had Martin hung out to dry and just threw it away.
And Martin's daydreaming right there, paying no attention to the pitcher or the second baseman. He didn't even take a step back towards second base. He'd have been out by 10 feet. So there's a little bit of a lucky break right there.
That may be the first one the Rangers have gotten in this series. Doesn't seem like many had gone their way. So second and third, and Beltre takes.
I think Graveman, Buzz, looked to second base and couldn't believe his good fortune, how far he was off second base.
Two and one, the count to Beltre. Chopper to third. Here comes Martin. The throw's coming home. The throw is dropped by Vogt, and Martin is safe. On to third goes Choo. Adrian Beltre with the chopper gets the run home, and the Rangers lead it 1-0.
Vogt's looking like he didn't touch home plate, but I think Leonys stepped right in the middle of home plate. No problem. Boy, Rangers catching 2 breaks back to back. Leonys should have been picked off second. And then he's got a great chance of being thrown out at the plate right here if the catcher hangs on to the ball. So 2 errors. allow Martin to stay on second,
Batting in the fourth position.
go to third, and then score on a ground ball to third.
Hey, you're right, Tom. He stepped right in the middle of home plate. No, Rangers out in front quickly here this afternoon, 1-0. And that is going to be the second error in as many plays. It allows Leonis Martin to go from second to third, then from third home. And Prince Fielder takes outside, ball one.
So that goes as a fielder's choice, an error on the catcher. And because the catcher made the error, that's no RBI for Adrian. It is a run for the Rangers, though. However tainted it might be, we'll take it.
Yeah, sure will. You know, there will not be a third shutout in this opening series.
I'd love to know what Leonis was thinking at second base. He had to be thinking, it's a beautiful day. What am I going to do when I get back after the game tonight in Arlington?
There's a looper into center. That's going to fall for a base hit. Jew will score. Beltre stops at second. And Prince Fielder continuing to have all the RBI for the Rangers this year. That is his third, and the Rangers lead it 2-0.
Well, Prince prides himself on being a run producer, and he rises to the occasion when there's men in scoring position. Graveman gets that ball up on the inside part of the plate, jams Prince just a little bit, but he's so strong he just fights it off and shoots it out into center field to drive in that run.
Kurt Young, the pitching coach, out to have a brief chat with his battery of Graveman and Vogt.
Graveman started his problems by walking Martin. But if he makes a good throw to second base and picks Martin off, and Adrian hits the same ground ball to third base, maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. But if he did, about 12 pitches, he's back in the dugout facing only 3 hitters. Instead, there's two in, 2 on, and nobody out.
Ryan Rua now the hitter, a check swing foul ball. Well, apparently there's no way to get Leonis Martin out in this first inning. Couldn't do it.
Doesn't look like it.
He walked him, then the error allowed Martin to stay alive and go from second to third. Then the error scored him. So. Ryan Rua, 1 out of the 11 in the series. And he pounds one through the hole, a base hit. Beltre around third, and stopping there as Tony Beasley put up the stop sign. Probably a good thing because Canada got to that ball pretty quick. Ryan Rua with his second hit in the first 3 ball games, and Rangers now have the bases loaded, still just 1 out for Mitch Moreland.
Oh, Ryan had a tough night last night. That happens. Everybody has those kind of games. So he's feeling pretty good right now to get a chance to hit in the first inning, get a base hit, get that monkey off his back from last night, forget about it, and have a great game today and go home feeling good.
Mitch Moreland 1 out of 7. You got a bases full of teammates here in the first, and towering fly ball. That's pretty well hit to left field. Canna back right in front of the warning track, front of the wall, and makes the catch. Tagging at third, scoring on the sacrifice fly, Adrian Beltre, and Prince Fielder over to third. Well, the Rangers jump out in front. It's now 3-0 Texas.
Well, that one wasn't that far from being a home run. He hit it pretty well. He got underneath it and skied it to left field. But he hit it on the good part of the bat. Didn't hit it quite so high. Would have had a chance to at least go off the wall. But a good at bat. You want to hit the ball to the outfield. Man on third base, less than 2 outs. At least get 1 run in. And now you've got Prince over at third base. And do it again right here.
Well, a Ranger other than Prince Fielder has an RBI. Mitch Moreland gets his first. Elvis, a hot shot to Lowry. They're going to get Fielder in a rundown now, coming down the line from third. Vogt running him back, and the tag is made by Simeon. Oh, a double play. And that takes care of the Rangers. Got a little conversation down at second base. And that is...
Safe at second? I think he's calling him safe at second.
I believe so. I believe you're right. Second base umpire is Doug Eddings. And Ryan Rua going into second thought he had been called out, but then coming down from first base, Elvis Andrus said, no, go on back there. I don't think he called you out.
Well, the Rangers have had some good fortune in the first inning. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, that ball that Elvis just hit easily could have gone into left field for a base hit and 2 runs knocked in. That's a beautiful play by Brett Lowry. That ball was a smash. He didn't have any time to react. He just lifted his glove up and the ball went right in. And watch how nicely he plays this ball. Hello. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, Sogard reaching up to make the catch. It looked like it might have pulled him off the bag, and umpires are going to go to the headsets and check in with the replay command center. Now,
it's one of those plays when you see it in real time, you think his foot is off the bag, and it's not even close. When you see the replay, I think his foot was on the bag when he caught it.
I agree with you.
It doesn't look that way when you see it in real time. But when you watch the replay in slow motion, I think the A's might get that call.
So the umpires, with Bill Miller, the crew chief, and Doug Eddings, checking things out with the replay command center in New York. See what the opinion is from back there. The play when Sogard went 4-2-5-6 to get Fielder at third base. And the question is whether it's a double play or whether it's just the one out at the plate.
Well, the heads-up play by Sogard after he caught the ball at second base. And we'll see if it's a double play, if the Rangers and Rougned Odor still have a chance to add some runs to the ledger right here.
Well, they're taking a pretty long look at it.
It's a close one.
Yeah.
And I guess if they called him out, they'd probably be in the same situation. Is there conclusive evidence to change it? I don't know if this is conclusive or not, but it looks like his toe is on the base as he catches the ball.
Yeah, that's one of those ones, Tom, where they've specified it. Usually you see it at first base, but the ball has to do more than just travel beyond the rim of the glove. It has to make the leather move in the glove as it makes contact. That's when the ball is caught.
So the question, as is usual, remains, was there conclusive evidence to change the call? They're taking a good look at it.
Sure are. Yeah, the headset's just about ready to come off. They are coming off now, and out is the ruling at second base. So it is a double play, and the Ranger first comes to a close, but they do score 3 times. There were 3 hits, a couple of errors, and 1 man left as Jeff Bannister gets the word from Bill Miller. Side retired, 3-0 Rangers. Rangers strike for 3 in the top of the first inning, and Nick Martinez takes that lead out to face the Oakland Athletics lineup this afternoon. And Tom, here's what Bob Melvin put out there.
Well, he's going to start with Sam Fuld in center field. Stephen Vogt, the catcher, moves up to second. Ben Zobrist, Billy Butler, third and fourth again. Ike Davis playing first base, bats fifth. Brett Lowry at third base. Mark Canha, coming off a big night last night. He drove in 4 runs, is in left field today. Eric Sogard back at the bottom of the order hitting second. And Marcus Semien, the shortstop, bats ninth.
And Nick Martinez begins things by firing strike 1 to Sam Fuld. Martinez, a 24-year-old from Hialeah, Florida. Fordham University, 2-2 in his last 6 starts from last year. And Fuld lofts a fly ball into the left field corner that Rua is able to run down just as he steps onto the cinders. A nice play by Rua for out number 1. And Nick Martinez last year, 140 and a third innings of work. That's the 7th most by a Ranger rookie, going back to 1985. Mentioned he played at Fordham University 3 seasons. He was combination second baseman and their closer. 15 games in relief for Fordham University. A 1 out here in the bottom of the first. Stephen Vogt takes a strike. Vogt, a 3-run home run in the opener this series, 3 for 7. One ball and 1 strike. Vogt has had a little bit of experience against Nick Martinez. He's 1 for 2. Mentioned Nick finishing up last year in fine fashion. He had a 229 earned run average. Last 6 starts of 2014. That began on the 31st of August. There's a strike. 2-2. Career-wise, 1-1 against Oakland. A very fine 253 earned run average in 3 starts and 1 relief appearance. And Vogt going up in the strike zone and bangs it into right field. A 1-out single.
Got a high changeup, it looked like.
Now we'll take a look at the Rangers defense, brought to you by Chicken Express. Saw Ryan Rua in left, Leonis Martinez center, Shin-Soo Choo is in right. Mitch Moreland, the start at first base. Again, Odor and Andrews up the middle. Adrian Beltre back of the hot corner, and Carlos Corporate catching for Nick Martinez here this afternoon. The 1 on, 1 out, Ben Zobrist. Switch hitter up there and taking ball 1. Zobrist in this series 3 for 13. He did have that 2-run home run that got the A's started on Monday night. His first at bat as an Oakland A. One and 1. Zobrist 0 for 3 in his matchups against Nick Martinez. Another fastball in for a strike at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ben Zobrist, the 13th player in Oakland history with a home run in his first at bat with the A's. A's history goes back to 1968. Charlie Finley moved the ball club from Kansas City to Oakland in that offseason. The 1-2 pitch. Ouch. That got inside a little bit on Zobrist.
Sure did.
Ben's going to try and walk that off. That's going to hurt for a while.
Going to hurt his hands for where the ball hit the bat. Jammed him. And it came down and hit his foot.
A double whammy. Well, Zobrist back in. Both the runner at first, a very short lead. Odor makes Vogt stop. The throw back to second, the double play attempt, and they got him. Well done by Odor and Moreland. Make it a 4-3-6 double play. That takes care of the A's in the first. After one, Rangers leading 3-0 on Fox Sports Southwest. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. You can watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD and over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and a lot more every night on every device. Blackout and certain other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Rougned Odor starting off the Rangers' second inning. Texas on top, 3-0. And we'll look at that double play that Odor started in the bottom of the first.
Well, he wanted to make sure he got two, and so he threw the ball quickly to get the man at first, which gave Mitch then time to get it to shortstop because you had to make the tag. Once the force out is gone, you have to make a tag. And if Rougned, in his mind, ran the runner down and tagged him, he might not have had time to get the runner going to first base. So he played it perfectly.
And he swings and pops one up on the left side of the diamond. Simeon's sunglasses gleaming, puts it away for out number one. So Odor, 0 for 1 as he starts off the top of the second inning. And now the number 9 man in the Ranger order today, that's Carlos Corporan. Carlos, who caught here on Tuesday night. Back in the lineup here this afternoon. 0 for 3. And takes ball 1. Veteran catcher on the opening day roster for the third time in his career. Came over from the Houston Astros to the Rangers. Was on a trade January 21st of this year. Corporan had a very good spring, solidified his spot. Along with Robinson Chirinos. Corporan hit .345 with a couple of home runs during spring training. One ball and 2 strikes. You know, for the second time in 4 games now, the Rangers are facing a pitcher that nobody on the club has had an at-bat against at the major league level. Jesse Hahn, who worked here on Tuesday night, same situation. Hahn acquitted himself very nicely. A losing cause, Rangers able to win that ball game 3-1. They have jumped out in front of Kendall Graveman here, 3-0 this afternoon. Pitch up and in, and that got Corporan. And home plate umpire Adam Hamari is going to ask for some help. He thought it was a foul ball, and Corcoran was showing him where the ball hit him on the hand. Now, Amari is going to ask for both Bill Miller, the first base umpire, and Jim Wolf. And Doug Eddings will join the conversation, too. The umpires getting together to get their opinion, and they are going to say, yep, it did hit him.
It must have been pretty obvious, because that's a pretty tough call for the other umpires to see where that ball hit him, but we'll be able to see it in slow motion right here.
Yeah, right on the top of the hand.
Definitely hit the hand. Couldn't even see the handle of the bat, so there's no doubt where it hit.
Bob Elvin out there to try and figure out how the umpires arrived at that determination. He was looking back in the dugout, too. This is a reviewable play should Melvin decide that he wants to challenge it. But judging from the replay that we just saw, there wouldn't be much of a problem determining that the ball hit him.
Plus, generally, it sounds a little more of a dead sound when it hits part of your body as opposed to when it hits the bat. Maybe we can tell. Let's see if we have the sounds of the game here. Yeah, it definitely sounded like an arm.
Get a little scream from the player, too. That's always a dead giveaway.
Yeah. If that did hit the bat, he put on a pretty good act.
Yeah. So Corcoran at first, and now back to the top of the order for Leonis Martin, who began things by drawing a walk. Martin getting that Ranger offense going in the first. He came around to score the first Ranger run. Talking about Leonis utilizing the bunt as part of his arsenal. 29 bunt base hits. That's 6 more than anybody else in Major League Baseball in that time span. Pops this one in the shallow center. And Sam Full, the center fielder, takes charge. And he is out number 2. Just to complete that thought, Martin has 6 more bunt base hits than the next closest, and that would be D. Gordon, who's now with the Marlins.
Now batting, number 17, Shin-Soo Choo.
No, 2 outs now. Shin-Soo Choo will come to the plate. Choo had the base hit to right field in the first inning. So Choo now 2 out of 8 in the series. Carlos Corcoran, a modest lead at first. And Ike Davis picks that cleanly. Steps on the bag, and that'll do it for the Rangers. Corcoran hit by a pitch. He's stranded. After 1.5, it's the Rangers 3, the A's nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. A beautiful shot of the Golden Gate Bridge at the mouth of San Francisco Bay. Nick Martinez back to work. Working to Billy Butler, starting off the bottom of the second. Butler, Davis, and Lowry. Good breaking ball, and that evens the count to Butler. Butler 4 out of 12 in the series thus far with an RBI. He's got one of his patented doubles.
Good curveball. Second good curveball. The other one was to Ben Zobrist to hit it into a double play. Chopped it right to second base. A good slider before that pitch, and then a good overhand curveball. That's the old 12-6 you were talking about the other day, Buzz. Just about. Fastball in. Pretty good combination of pitches right there to Butler.
And just in case you were looking out over the plate, here's one to get a good look at.
Ross Detweiler said after the game that was one of his problems. He just couldn't throw a strike in. And it just allowed the hitters to lean out over the plate because they just weren't worried about the fastball in.
Makes it tough when a hitter takes half the plate away from him.
Yeah.
Full count to Butler, leading off the second. We'll try it again. Butler in the first year of what was a 3-year contract, signed as a free agent with Oakland over the offseason. The only A's player thus far to hit safely in all 3 games that the A's have played. Broken back looper to Mitch.
Those were good pitches to Butler. He really worked him over. He threw him in that at bat. 2 good sliders, a good curveball, and several good fastballs. And then after seeing the breaking balls, watch, he gets this fastball in. I don't know if that's where he's trying to throw it or not, but he got it in and jammed him and just looped it a little blooper toward first base. So took a few pitches to do it, but worked over a pretty good hitter right there.
You know, guys always talk about doing something different on a fastball count than just throwing a normal fastball. One of the things, you can throw an off-speed pitch. The other is, if guys geared up to hit a fastball, throw it inside.
Yeah.
Show him the fastball inside. And, you know, a lot of times you'll jam a guy even if he is looking for the fastball.
Yep. A good fastball in is... I don't think there's many big league hitters who go up to the plate saying, I just love getting a really good fastball right in on the fist.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably some that don't mind it, some that are pretty good at hitting it, but most of them are uncomfortable if you can pound that ball in on them.
Yeah, especially if it runs in.
Yeah.
Even more.
Yeah. And as, you know, pitching in doesn't mean hitting someone, as you've said, but if you can get it 5 or 6 inches in and get some tailing action, there's not many hitters that are going to do much with it.
And Mike Davis completely demolished the bat that he took up there originally on that foul ball. So he had to get a new piece of lumber and put a little stickum on the handle. Now he's back ready to go. A ball and a strike to Davis. 1 out of 6 in the first 2 ball games of the series. Nick Martinez, a 3-run advantage with which to work. And right now he looks like he is in total command of the strike zone. And he deals a knee-high strike to make it 1-2. Nick Martinez has 5 career wins at the major league level, and 4 of those 5 have come during day games. Kind of an oddity. You don't see guys with that many day game wins, but it has been Nick Martinez's strong suit. He gets the strikeout, his first of the afternoon. Davis is disposed of. To go to our stats, we'll take a look at Nick Martinez. In the 4 games against the A's, 3 of those were starts, 1-1. A very fine 2.53 ERA, and the A's just hit 2.03 against him. On-base percentage at 286. A minuscule on-base percentage for these A's.
As inexperienced as Nick was last year, it was obviously a learning experience for most of the season. And he took his lumps off and on, but he really learned some good lessons. We talked about about it a lot, how strongly he finished and what that did for his confidence over the wintertime. He came to spring training feeling like a big league pitcher. He pitched well. He made the team. And the version of Nick now at the start of the year is not anywhere near what the starting point was for him last year. He's much more mature, much more confident, knows the hitters better, feels like he belongs.
2-1 pitch to Lowry. Lowry again seeing a few more wrinkles today.
Yeah.
He saw a couple fastballs last night he got a base hit on.
I would not give him a fastball to hit.
Got him swinging.
All you got to do is make a curve, and he's going to have trouble.
He's having trouble with the spinner. 3 up, 3 down. A's gone in the second. After 2, Rangers by 3. The fans on Friday, May 1st, the Rangers host these Oakland A's in the first of a 3-game set, and fans will be treated to a post-game fireworks show set to music from Back to the Future movies. That's presented by Big Green Egg. Join us as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of Back to the Future. Oh, what a play by Sam Fuld in center, taking a base hit away from Adrian Beltre.
Boy, that was a rope, because off the bat it looked like a routine line drive to center field, and that thing just kept on going all the way out to Fuld, who kept charging and made a nice sliding play. So he hit that ball right on the button. Just kept on going.
It's the third time that Beltre has had a line drive taken away from him in the hit column. I want to remind you folks, the post-game fireworks show on May 1st. You can get $14 upper reserve tickets using the online coupon code FIREWORKS at TexasRangers.com/specials. Prince Fielder, a towering pop foul. Lowry, the third baseman, in foul territory, and makes the catch for out number 2. Well, before Ryan Ruiz steps in, let's take time for a Mazda game break with Aaron Hardigan. Aaron?
All right, thanks, Bug. To the cell for the Shy Sox and Royals. Mike Moustakas smokes the John Danks offering, but Adam Eaton makes that incredible catch, diving with his back toward the infield. Wow. Rig hit. Now it's back to you, Buzz, with Royals. Your Royals, a 4-1 lead. How about that?
All right, Aaron, thank you. Rangers here have a 3-0 lead. As Ryan Rua hitting with the bases empty, 2 away here in the third inning. Wendell Graveman deals a strike. It's 1-1. Rua had his second hit of the series back in the first inning. Solid base hit through the hole on the left side. Graveman with that cutter. It's 2-1. Kendall Graveman assigned as a sinker ball pitcher, the way the Toronto Blue Jays viewed him. Didn't have a lot of upside as far as they were concerned. 91, 92 mile an hour sinker, and they thought maybe if he develops, that's fine. But when Graveman started throwing a cutter by accident, he said, last year, and he and his AAA catcher said, hey, that's not bad. Why don't we just go with that for a while? He was trying to throw a four-seam fastball, which most cutters are a variation of that. He said it just naturally cut for him, and it has become a go-to pitch.
Sent him through every level of the minor leagues all the way to the big leagues.
Chopper gets into center field, a base hit. So Ryan, with his second hit of the day, is aboard with 2 outs.
Oh, what a difference a day can make. I'd say you got a good night's sleep, but you know, when you strike out 4 times in a game and you go back to your hotel, chances are it takes you a while to get to sleep.
Yeah.
I know it would me. But Ryan woke up. One thing good about baseball, you can have a terrible day and you have to play the next day. So you don't really have 4 or 5 days to sit there and brood about it or think about it. You got a game the next day and you got to get on with that. And comes out here less than a day later. First 2 times up, he has 2 base hits.
Yeah, not just the 4 strikeouts last night. He had 2 the last 2 times up the night before. So he was on a 6 strikeout streak, which got to make it even tougher to handle.
It works the other way. You can come out and have a day like Mark Canha had, hit a couple of doubles, knock in 4 runs, and you have to come out and play a day game the next day, and that's past history. Now it's, what are you going to do for me today? Turned him the right to play today, though.
Mitch driving that one to left field. It is deep, and goodbye. Moreland on top of the scoreboard, out of the ballpark. The first Ranger home run of the year, and the Rangers lead it 5-0.
Well, that's the kind of power that Mitch Moreland has. That ball looked like a line drive to the left fielder, and left fielder never even moved. It shot over his head like a golf tee shot and just barely got out of the ballpark. It wasn't hit very high. And in this 4-game series, Mitch has hit a number of balls well to left field. Several of them to the warning track that, in fact, the first time up, he just got underneath one of the bases loaded for a sacrifice fly. This one he hit on a line and shows the power and the ability to hit the ball to all fields. And that's a nice thing to see right there from Mitch.
So Mitch Moreland with the first home run of the year for himself and for the ball club. Boy, that is some serious power going that way. And Moreland now with 8 career home runs against the Athletics. That is second most of any opponents since 2010. Elvis Andrus grounds out. Rangers are gone, but Moreland and Rua team up. Single home run, and the Rangers lead it 5-0.
The fantasy
Oakland A's. As Buzz and Tom were mentioning last inning, what a difference a year makes for Nick Martinez. Last year learning on the fly, and now with valuable lessons to fall back on.
You got to mentally stay in the game with every pitch, and you can't really take a pitch off, and mentally just slow the game down as much as you can. It tends to speed up on you before you know it. You know, you can be 4 innings and giving up 8 runs, so that was the biggest thing I took away from last year.
Buzz, Tom, he knows he can't rush experience, but he certainly also understands the resources he has in that clubhouse, and by all accounts is constantly talking to the more senior members of the rotation, Colby Lewis, Derek Holland, Giovanni Gallardo, trying to glean as much as he can from them, from the guys who have been there seasons before.
Dana, thank you. Yeah, excellent lessons, I think, learned and expressed by Nick Martinez.
Yeah, it's good that he takes the time to learn from the veteran guys, and it's also nice that he's got the aptitude and the ability to take that advice and put it to good use out on the mound.
Arcana drives one to left field. Rua's going back. It's over his head. Off the wall. Rua gets it back in quickly. Cannon has to hang on with a long single.
Man, Cannon's lighting it up. Cannon looked like a guy that would probably platoon against left-handed pitching, but he looked so good last night. He's got the start today ahead of Craig Gentry.
Had 2 doubles in last night's ball game, a 3-hit night, and he comes back out and rips one off the wall for a long single here.
Pretty nice job of hitting, too. That ball was about 2 inches inside. Still got the good part of the bat on the ball.
The second A's hit of the afternoon off of Nick Martinez. Here's Eric Sogard. Sogard down to the number 8 slot of the batting order and hits a double play ground ball. Odor, Andrews, and Moreland. Second double play turned by the Rangers this afternoon. Both of them started by Rougned Odor.
Each time the A's have had a hit, the next hitter has followed it up with a ground ball to second base. First pitch. Got a pretty good pitch to hit. Hit a nice solid little ground ball. Just what the doctor ordered.
Now the base is empty, and here's Marcus Semien. Nick tosses a wrinkle in there for strike 1. Semien down in the number 9 slot in Bob Melvin's batting order this afternoon. Takes a ball to even the count out. Last year, Semien a .234 average with the White Sox. Played 64 ball games. Had 6 home runs, so he got a little pop. Pulls that one foul down the left side, and the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes. Against the Rangers, last 4 ball games, hitting .438. It's out of play over the Ranger dugout. Semien, part of the deal that sent Jeff Samardzija to the White Sox. December 9th, the date of that trade. Got him swinging. Nick Martinez with his 3rd strikeout of the afternoon. A's gone in the 3rd. On to inning number 4. Rangers 5, A's nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. The Rangers blanking in the Athletics through 3, 5-0 Texas. Rougned Odor to start things off. Odor, Corcoran, and Leonis Martin. Rougned a pop out to his counterpart. Second baseman Eric Sogard back in the second inning. He takes ball 1. 21-year-old Rougned Odor from Venezuela. Pitch low and outside. Odor reached base a couple of times in this series. Both of them hit by pitches. He got through last night's game without being hit, and that was good. Still looking for his first hit this year. He's 0 for 9 officially. Two balls, 2 strikes. Now you can see that cut fastball we were talking about that Graveman has developed it. And the reason he decided he wanted to do that, well, Odor gets it now. That cut fastball cut right in on Odor's elbow. 3 times that Odor has been hit in the first 4 games.
Well, Graveman's developed that cutter, but this one he cut it a little too far inside, hit him right in the hip.
Yep.
The Rangers get the leadoff man on.
Graveman said that's why he developed it. He wanted to have something he can throw inside to the left-handers and not worry about it moving back out over the plate.
Yeah.
Here's a base hit by Corcoran to right field. Odor to second. He puts the brakes on there as Zobrist gets the ball back in quickly. And Carlos Corcoran, a base hit. Runners at first and second, nobody out for the top of the order.
And Carlos gets a pretty good pitch to hit, a fastball. He's got the hole between first and second with the first baseman holding the runner on. Rolls it right into right field for a base hit. A's are going to get their bullpen going again. In the meantime, the Rangers trying to put some more runs on the board.
And Kurt Young, the pitching coach, out there talking with the battery in the infield. And while we have a moment here, we'd like to remind you, Rangers coming back home after this afternoon's ball game, and you can join us for complete coverage of the Rangers home opener tomorrow. We've got a 3-hour pregame featuring Jeff Bannister, our own Mark McLemore and Pudge Rodriguez, tailgating at the ballpark, the Fox Sports Southwest girls, and a lot more. Gets started at noon tomorrow and takes you right up until first pitch at 3 o'clock, and it's only on Fox Sports Southwest. Here's Leonis Martin, and ball 1 misses high and away. Evan Scribner, right-hander, we saw here on Monday night. Loosening in that bullpen, getting ready in a hurry. 1 ball, 1 strike. Martin has walked and flied to center. 0 for 1 officially today. Three for 13 for the young season. Looking for his first RBI, and he's got Odor out there at second base. Corcoran at first. Chopper just foul outside first, and boy, it wasn't foul by much. Martin turning on that inside, looks like the cut fastball that Graveman got in there and almost got it between Davis and the line.
That play down the line is a tougher play for Davis with a glove on his right hand. But we've seen him make some pretty nice plays in this series at first base.
Sure have.
Pretty smooth around the bag.
Swing and a miss, and Leonis Martin down on strikes. Graveman gets his first punch out of the afternoon. 1 gone. Next will be Shin-Soo Choo.
Number 17, Shin-Soo Choo.
Choo, a single and a run scored in the first. Last time up, grounded to first. So 1 for 2 and 2 for 9. In the 3 games which he has played this season. Nothing in 1. Choo is had pretty good Aprils. You combine what he was able to do in 2013 and last year, it comes out to a 329 overall average. .464 on base percentage for those 2 Aprils. 6 home runs, 18 runs driven in. Accustomed to getting off to a quick start. This one hit high in the air to deep right field. Zobrist back on the track at the wall. Goodbye.
Wow, I didn't think I was going to go.
Got one up in the air, and the breeze apparently drifting out that way. The ball kept carrying, and Shin-Soo Choo with a 3-run home run makes it 8-0 Rangers.
You know, Buzz, we were talking the first 3 games of this series about the night games, cool weather, and the ball not carrying. And a couple of times we made reference to what might have happened if that particular ball was hit during the day. And there's a pretty good example of what would have happened if it's hit during the day. It carries much better. Now, Mitch has probably had a chance even at night. He hit it so hard. But this one, lofted as high as Shin-Soo lofted it, probably wouldn't have gone out at night.
Right.
Pretty nice job of hitting, though, on that cut fastball down and in.
Choo with his first home run, the second Ranger home run of the day and the season. And that'll do it for Kendall Graveman. He is taken out after 3 1/3 innings, and he has given up 8 runs to the Rangers. No, we will take a timeout. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest.
Take on the Astros tomorrow on Fox Sports Southwest.
Adrian Beltre greeting Evan Scribner with his first base hit of the year as Adrian shoots one through the hole on the left side and does his Rocky impersonation. Yeah, I finally did it. So Beltre, who had been 0 for 2 today and 0 for 13, gets off that snide.
It was a tough day for Kendall Graveman. Graveman was virtually untouchable in spring training. He only gave up 1 earned run in 25 innings in spring training. That's pretty tough to do in Arizona. He had the lowest earned run average for a qualifying pitcher in about 7 or 8 years in Arizona. But it didn't translate here in Oakland this afternoon. Tough afternoon.
Evan Scribner, the 29-year-old out of Connecticut, is on now, and we saw him, as we mentioned, on Monday, work a scoreless inning, finished off that ball game in relief of Sonny Gray. Prince Fielder grounds one, picked off by Davis to second, and back to Scribner covering for the double play. 3-6-1 on the twin killing. The Rangers are gone in the 4th, but they scored 3 more times on 3 hits and nobody left after 3 1/2. 8-0 Rangers. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Mazda 6. J.D. Powers awarded the Mazda 6 highest ranked vehicle appeal among mid-sized cars. The appeal factor for the Rangers up significantly today. They lead 8-0 after 3.5. And Nick Martinez, the beneficiary of record output thanks to Shin-Soo Choo's 3-run home run. The top half of the fourth. Sam Fuld flies to Chu to start things here in the bottom of the fourth. Well, fans' registration's now open for the 10th annual Bark at the Park event. And it's sponsored by Abaderm Natural Pet Foods and Nylabone and Adams. You can bring your dog out to the ballpark on Saturday, May 2nd. You get a pregame parade, and you can watch the Rangers take on these Oakland A's with your pup. Visit TexasRangers.com/Bark at the Park to register your dog today. Stephen Vogt, the catcher, hitting second in the order. Single his first time at the plate. A's have had 2 base hits, and each one has been immediately followed by a double play. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I've been very impressed with Nick's repertoire of pitches today and his ability to throw them where he wants to. He's had a good fastball location, good movement on it. A slider and curveball have been very good. Hadn't thrown a lot of changeups. He threw one to Vogt, second batter of the game. Vogt lined it into right field for a base hit. So it's been mostly fastball, slider, curveball since then. Good location with his fastball.
Yep, got that one in enough, and got the weak little pop-up to center field that Leonis Martin handles for out number 2. Let's take a look at the Ford leaderboard. We mentioned that Nick Martinez, as a rookie, had 140 and a third innings of work. That was 7th most in Ranger history by rookies since 1985. Edwin Correa, part of that 1986 rookie group, 202 and a third innings, led the way along with Jose Guzman. That was that might have been the best rookie crop that I've seen the Rangers have, certainly, and maybe a lot of major league teams.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you know, looking back on it, as young as Eddie Correa was, 202 innings might not have been the wisest thing. But man, I think he was 21 at the time. He was as good a looking young pitcher as there was in baseball. And if he didn't get hurt, he'd have won 250 games in the big leagues.
Yeah. You know, Nick Martinez, 3 balls in the air, 3 quick outs. We have finished 4. Rangers lead by 8.
Welcome back to Oakland. The Rangers now with an 8-0 lead over the Oakland A's here in the 5th inning. Well, former Ranger great Steve Buechele is back in the Ranger dugout. Thrilled to be Jeff Bannister's bench coach and his right-hand man this season, and looking forward to that warm reception when the team gets home tomorrow in Arlington.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some boos, and I always say it's good to get booed. And I think, it's a special feeling, especially when you're in front of a lot of people in your home stadium in the town you live in, and to be received like I've been over the years, it's such a warming feeling. So I do look forward to it.
Buzz and Tommy certainly earned his managerial stripes the last 6 seasons, managing at the single-A, double-A, and triple-A levels for this organization. He's got great insight and background to offer on these players who have come through the system. He is getting comfortable with Jeff Bannister. They quickly have formed a really nice relationship, enjoying each other quite a bit, working well together. And I think he is just thrilled to be back home, and it will be fun tomorrow, guys.
No doubt about that, Dana. You're right. It's Boo is a special guy. He has really become a key component in the Rangers organization from top to bottom.
Yeah, I was very pleased to see that the Rangers had hired Gino Petralli to be a coach at AAA. Yeah. Gino's another guy right there with Boo. 2 great guys.
Whoa! Sogard going out, was having trouble with it the whole way. Zobrist right behind him. Didn't call him off, and Sogard not able to corral that pop-up off the bat of Ryan Rua, and Rua ends up at second.
Now, Sogard's played some good baseball against the Rangers, and we haven't seen him make many plays, any plays like that. I can't remember. Looked like a routine play. Went back and just spiked it toward the foul line. Just clanked off the bottom of his glove. I don't know if he must have lost it in the sun. Had to. Yeah, you could tell by the way he looked away and the ball hit off the heel of his glove that he probably didn't see it the last 20 feet.
Looked like the wind blowing out to right field a little bit, too. Kind of pushed that. Zobrist didn't do him any favors by not calling him off.
Yeah, that would have been the right thing for him to do.
The flags out there in the gap in right field between the monstrosity in center and the stands in right.
There's some clouds today, but for day games, this can be a very difficult sun field.
Mitch Moreland, a home run and a sacrifice fly. 3 RBI today. And our AT&T U-verse Rewind takes you back to the 3rd inning. Mitch Moreland against Kendall Graveman, and he had a rocket the other way. His first home run of the year, the Rangers' first home run of the year. Mitch Moreland continuing to terrorize Oakland pitching. Way high and outside from Scribner. Moreland now with 8 career home runs in this ballpark. 5 multi-career home run games. 3 of them in this park. It's 5 career multi-home run games total. Foul down the right side. The count, a ball and 2 strikes. Only Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels has more home runs against Oakland here since 2010. Trout with 9 of them. Pitch kind of leaning on that breaking ball. The count evens at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, Scribner's got a good curveball. He's got about an average fastball and a really nice overhand curveball. Good solid long man for the A's.
Scribner's been with the A's since 2011. He was a waiver claim by Oakland off of the waiver wire from San Diego. Scribner made his Major League debut with the Padres in 2011. It's chopping one foul. Scribner, another one of those guys, has been a relief pitcher his entire professional career, dating back to 2007. He has never made a start as a professional. And Moreland flagged down by Sogard. He throws out Mitch. On to 3rd goes Rua. 1 gone now. Elvis Andrus coming up.
That's the kind of play we're accustomed to seeing Sogard make. Really solid defensive player.
Elvis
Going back to that pop-up, it looked kind of funny when he dropped it, but I think he lost that ball in the sun. Otherwise, that would have been a routine play for him.
Sogard charged with that two-base error, the third error committed by Oakland here today. Elvis takes a strike, upper part of the strike zone. Elvis 0 for 2, a couple of ground outs. Scribner going a little too quickly for Elvis. That's out of play to the right, nothing in 2 the count. Well, the Rangers come back home this evening, flying back to DFW, take on the Astros for 3. The home opener tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And the Rangers want to remind you that tickets are sold out, all but maybe a few obstructed view and standing room tickets. About all that's available, some singles. You want to get there early. The parking lots are going to open at 9 o'clock in the morning. First pitch is at 3 in the afternoon. The gates open at noon. And going out to the ballpark, everybody's going to be passing through the metal detectors. It's a new edict from Major League Baseball, the enhanced security measures for all ballparks. So come on out a little bit early and give yourself plenty of time to get into the park to see the home opener. Elvis hanging tough at a ball and 2 strikes. Andrews, a good spring. Elvis came in and hit .333. Down to third, and that's where Lowry is across the diamond. That is out number 2. We were talking about the schedule. How about the progressive upcoming schedule? There's Houston coming in. Friday, Saturday night games, or I should say Friday afternoon, Saturday night game, and Sunday afternoon. Then the Angels come in for 3 starting Monday. Rangers did have the first off day of the year on the 16th on Thursday. And back out on the road. Go for 8 ball games. Rougned Odor. Hit by a pitch in the 4th inning. 0 for 1 today.
Good curveball from Scribner we were talking about. Last 2 of them for strikes.
He's got that hammer that looks like the bottom falls out of it. 0-2. Lowry gobbles that one up, and the side retired. So the 2-base error, no damage to the A's as Lewis left stranded. Halfway through the ball game, Rangers 8, A's nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Friends, don't wait now to visit the Texas Rangers team stores to stock up on all your Rangers gear. You can visit the Grand Slam shop, the Majestic Grand Slam shop at Globe Life Park, or visit the Fort Worth location in Sundance Square. Our store information available for you at texasrangers.com/retail. Swing by today for an exclusive Rangers merchandise. Billy Butler starting off here in the 5th inning for Oakland. Butler popped out his first time to the plate. Nick Martinez has faced the minimum through 4 despite giving up a couple of hits. Had 2 double plays behind him right after those hits.
Yeah, with the 2 double plays, he's got a nice pitch count, too. He's only thrown 49 pitches now. He's had really good breaking pitches today. Good, sharp breaking curveball. And the best part of his breaking balls is that he hasn't left many at all in the good part of the plate for the hitter. He's kept them down and away. It was one of those pretty good spots. He just wasn't ready to swing at it. He's really mixed his pitches up well.
This is the 10th day start in Nick Martinez's career, and he's gone at least 5 innings in the previous 9. And he gets the strikeout of Billy Butler here to start the 5th inning. So that is strikeout number 4 for Martinez, 1 away.
Well, Nick had a good spring training. We talked about the way he ended the season last year, but I don't know if I've seen him better than this, Mouse. I think this is the best I've ever seen him.
Yeah, he has better command of all 3 of his pitches.
Yeah, very impressive.
And we haven't seen him break out a straight changeup yet.
No, I
think he'll do that every once in a while.
The only one he threw, Vogt hit to right field for a base hit.
Ike Davis, a foul tip, strike 1.
Davis haven't had a chance on his curveball.
No. Ike Davis was the first strikeout for Nick Martinez back in the 2nd inning. A ball and a strike. Now, Nick has been good during the day. The Rangers were pretty good during the day last year. Matter of fact, they had a winning record in daytime affairs. They were 25-19 last season. On the road, pretty good there too. 15-11 in day games on the road. Out of play. Maybe the one breakdown that was a positive record-wise from last year. 2-2 to Davis. High and tight, and a full count. One of the few times that Nick Martinez has gotten deep into a count against an A's hitter. Has not walked a hitter this afternoon. The 4 strikeouts. Payoff pitch. Call strike 3.
Wow.
Adam Amari rung up that right hand, and Davis didn't like it, but he has struck out for the 2nd straight time. That is 5 strikeouts on the afternoon for Nick Martinez. And before Brett Lowry comes up, let's take time for a Mazda game break. Once again, here's Aaron Hardy.
All right, Buzz, let's go to the nation's capital. Steven Strasburg on the mound for the Nats, but the story was today Matt Harvey returning from that Tommy John. 6 innings, 9 Ks, no runs for Harvey as Mets take the series 2-1, guys.
All right, Aaron, thank you. Brett Lowry, also a strikeout his first time up. And
Davis didn't like this call. That thing's a strike. It's been a strike all series long. If you want to scream at the umpire like that, you better have a little more evidence than that.
Looping drive into left center. That's going to settle in for a base hit. Well, Lowry finally made contact with a breaking ball. Didn't hit it hard, but he got it in a vacated spot in the outfield. A 2-out single. Now Mark Canha coming up.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad pitch last time. First time up, he missed 2 sliders that looked like they were hittable. Didn't come close to hitting them. That one was a pretty good pitch down and away. He went down and hit it. So he saw enough of them where he made an adjustment and made some contact with it.
3 hits for the A's this afternoon. One of those 3 hits off the bat of this man, Mark Canha, the first time up. Canha 3 for 5 last night, 4 for 6. And his first foray against Major League pitching. Good fastball in on his fists. 1 ball, 1 strike. Canha and Tyler Ladendorf each made their Major League's debuts last night, and they were very memorable for each man. Canha, the 3 hits, 4 RBI. Ladendorf tripled in a run his first time up. Roller out to short, easy play. Elvis to Odor, and that'll do it. No runs, a hit, 1 left. We have finished 5 here in Oakland. Rangers by 8. It is time now for the Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Today's jackpot worth $400 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. Today, the Rangers are hitting for David Finley from Allen, Texas. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, David Finley from Allen will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Carlos Corcoran starting off the Rangers' 6th inning. We'll take the Rangers back to the top of the order. Leonis Martin, Shin-Soo Choo to follow. Corcoran hit by a pitch and a single. He has scored a run today. Just gets under this one and a towering pop up to shallow right. Zobrist makes the call, runs Sogard off, and helps him out that time. Out number 1.
Fans seem to notice that. But it's the right thing to do for the outfielder who's coming in. It's an easier play for him than it is the second baseman. And you can see the sun is troublesome for the second baseman and the right fielder. They both have sunglasses on. That helps.
Leonis Martin with his 4th at bat of the afternoon takes strike 1. Martin walked and scored in the first, fly to center, and struck out the next couple of times up. Griffin now evens the count and a ball and a strike. Pop foul. Vote. Lowry goes into a slide and can't quite keep it in the glove, but oh, what a play. And you get an idea of how much foul territory there is in this ballpark. Lowry had to go a good 100 feet and still had room.
This would have been the longest slide to catch a ball that you've seen in a while. Slid almost from the grass all the way into the dugout. Now from each bag, from the first base bag and the third base bag over to
the boundary where the stands are. 95 feet. And Leonis down on strikes, his second strikeout of the day. 2 gone. Shin-Soo Choo coming up. That's the first strikeout for Evan Scribner. Big day for Choo. He is singled and homered. His 3-run blast in the 4th inning, his first of the year. Back in the first, he singled and came around to score. Hit hard, but shading him up the middle. Simeon has it. And the Rangers go very quickly here in the 6th. 1, 2, 3, and out. After 5.5 remains, the Rangers 8, the A's nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.
Is presented by authority of the Texas Rangers Baseball Club and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Texas Rangers Baseball Club.
Folks, the Hyundai Club is one of the most modern spaces at Globe Life Park. Overlooking center field, the Hyundai Club has sweeping views of the ballpark and features an inclusive buffet and bar. And individual tickets in the Hyundai Club are available for Saturday, April the 11th and Sunday, the April the 12th against the Astros, and then again on Monday, April 13th against the Angels. Just visit TexasRangers.com/Hyundai Club to get your seats. Eric Sogard starting off the A's 6th inning against Nick Martinez. And Sogard fouling off the next pitch. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Sogard grounded into a double play on the only pitch he saw from Nick Martinez back in the 3rd inning. A's have had 3 hits, 1 every other inning against Nick. 2-2.
And Nick's got a good solid pitch count, 67 pitches. Good strikes to walk to ball ratio, about 2-to-1. And he's using all his pitches to do it.
He's a little bit high and outside. Inning by inning. See the 5th, he had 17, 16 in the 2nd. Other than that, a couple of single-digit pitch count innings. Nick had a spring high of 101 pitches back on the 31st in an outing against the Diamondbacks. And outside for ball 4. There's the first pass given by Nick Martinez this afternoon as Sogard starts the 6th by walking. Now Marcus Semien.
Yeah, Sogard only hit about 220 last year. So he's one of the guys you definitely don't want to walk. It happened earlier in this series, too.
Semien struck out first time he faced Martinez today. One ball, no strikes. Semien 3 out of 11 in this opening series. Pretty good breaking ball. That's just off the plate. 2 balls, no strikes. So the team that has been on the losing end in each of the games of this series had a little trouble offensively. Rangers shut out twice, and the game that the A's lost, they only had 1 run. The other 2 games, the A's scored 18 runs in the 2 victories. Behind the bag at third, a fair ball. Beltre to Odor, who drops the ball, and it's going to be ruled in the transfer.
Boy, he was going to get that ball out of his glove pretty quick because it didn't stay in the glove very long. And it really didn't. As long as the call stands at second base, it doesn't really matter because I don't think he was going to double up Semien on that ball anyway. Yep, definitely in the glove. Yep. No, it just goes down as a fielder's choice, and Semien will reach first. Rubin knew he had very little chance at first base, so if he was going to throw it, he knew he had to get rid of it as quickly as he possibly could. Yeah, and that's one of those plays that you can't challenge. Oh, you can't challenge that one? No, you can't challenge that one. That's considered part of that neighborhood play that felt that you'd be challenging every one of them, I guess. Right. So top of the order now for Sam Fuld. He was flied out both times that he's come up today. 16,045 on hand this Thursday afternoon. Nice afternoon crowd here in Oakland. Brian Rua back into his left. Tracks it down right on the track. Sam Fuld has flied out 3 times today to the warning track. Twice to left field. Once right down the line, almost to the wall. Then a long fly ball to right field. Now another one to left field. So the little guy leading off, trying to go deep today. Getting away from his normal game plan. A lot of yardage for an offer. Yeah. Now 2 gone. Stephen Vogt now will come up. Both 1 out of 2. Vogt had a first inning single last time up. Skied to center field. Nick Martinez right back in the strike zone. It is 0-1. Vogt now 2 for 4 in his career against Nick Martinez. Off the end of the bat, shallow center. Leonis Martin got a good break on it. He runs Elvis off and makes the catch. And he's gone in the 6th. They strand the Walker, and after 6 complete, Rangers 8, A's nothing.
get their offense going today. The 4-game summary showing you Mitch Moreland got it started with his first home run of the year, the first home run for the Rangers, and Shin-Soo Choo then joined in the fun. Choo had a 4th inning 3-run blast, and meanwhile, Nick Martinez, the beneficiary of a season-high output for the Ranger offense, leading 8-0, and Nick has only allowed 3 base hits. 4-game summary showing you the Ranger home runs. Nick Martinez just 78 pitches through 6 innings of work. Adrian Beltre got his first hit of the year in the 4th inning, facing Evan Scribner for the 2nd time. And he takes ball 1. Beltre now 1 for 14. 1-1 the count. Mentioned there's no sense of dread for Beltre. He goes down on one knee.
Well, he was breakdancing. He went down on one knee and spun all the way around. He takes it to a new level every day.
Yeah.
Slow curveball. Watch his knee. All the way around.
In the air, well hit left center field. Way back up the alley. Goodbye.
That's unbelievable. That's just like Joey Votto, what he did to Yu Darvish in spring training. Threw him 2 slow curveballs in a row. He threw Beltre 2 slow curveballs, spun him all the way around on one. He took the next one deep down on one knee. That's priceless right there.
Career home run number 396 for Adrian Beltre. And Ruben Odor almost got clocked on that. 9-0 Rangers.
You threw Joey Votto the big, slow curveball, the Ephus pitch, twice in one game. And when he hit the last one about 450 feet, kind of smiled at him going around the bases. Adrian got those curveballs on back-to-back pitches. Yeah, you guys can only dream about doing that. You can watch it, you can imitate it, but there's only one of you that can do it. And it's not any of you.
No, and Adrian just sits there and smiles knowingly. Here's Prince Fielder. He's 1 for 3, and he chops one the other way, and that is going to be a base hit.
It sure is.
Now, for all you folks that wanted Prince to bunt one when the shift is on, well, there's the next best thing. Just slapping it right down the third baseline for the base hit.
Number 16, Ryan Rua.
There's the swing and a miss. Goes all the way around. Comes back with the same pitch. It's even a better pitch. The ball was down below his knees. Wow. You can watch that on the highlights for a long time. Down on one knee, out of the ballpark. I'll guarantee you Scribner can't believe that.
I wouldn't be able to.
He got him to swing and miss at the one before it, then threw a better one on the next pitch.
You know, he might have been down, but it was in where Beltre could get it. First one, he couldn't reach out there. He was out in front of it too so much. Well, Ryan Rua, 2 for 3 today. Pair of singles, also reached on a 2-base error last time up. Scribner heats him up upstairs and gets the strikeout. He's 1 away.
Yeah, I think the fact that he'd seen the curveball once right before it allowed him to wait just long enough for the second one.
Number 18, Mitch Moreland.
You know, the Rangers, after not homering in the first 3 games, have gone deep 3 times here this afternoon. And yeah, that was a long drought, one of the longest droughts in Texas Ranger history for the first home run. Matter of fact, Tom, one of the teams you were on had gone the first 3 games also without a home run. That was in '72.
We almost went the whole season without a home run. Ted Ford led the team with 14 home runs.
I think it was fewer than 60 that year, if I remember right.
It probably was. I had 3.
Did you?
Yeah. We wouldn't have had 60 if I didn't hit 3.
Right. That's right. Mitch Moreland takes inside. And the count goes to 3 balls and no strikes. Mitch with one of the home runs today. He's driven in 3, a 2-run home run and a sacrifice fly. Three and 1. Yeah, 1972, he went 4 games without a home run. 81 went 4 games without a home run through the first 4 games. And Mitch chopping it foul. That fills the count. And the Rangers 9 runs on 10 hits this afternoon. Adrian Beltre with a home run. Mitch Moreland with a home run. Shin-Soo Choo with a home run. Mitch, a good rip at that Scribner fastball, and the count remains full. Moreland waiting as Scribner sets another 3-2 pitch. Keep throwing it out there. Mitch might take him out of the yard the other way again.
Yeah, definitely.
R.J. Alvarez, who we saw last night, loosening in the A's bullpen.
Yeah, he looked good last night, too. He was throwing hard. Good off-speed pitches to go along with it.
He went that way to left field, and Tanner able to track it down as he went toward the line. That's out number 2. Well, speaking of home runs, we'll tell you about the T-Mobile game changer. How about Adrian Gonzalez, the first player in Major League history to hit 5 home runs in his team's first 3 games of the year. 5 home runs, that's more than 27 other Major League teams altogether. And had a 3 home run night for the Dodgers. That followed up a 2 home run night. That's off to a pretty torrid start.
Sure is.
Elvis Andrus 0 for 3. No balls, 2 strikes to Elvis. All 3 outs on ground balls. Just a bit low. Breaking ball, nice block by Stephen Vogt. Now Prince Fielder remaining at first base. The count evens up to Elvis Andrus. Tomorrow afternoon, the home opener will be Derek Holland in his first outing of 2015. I don't think there's anybody that is chomping at the bit more than Derek Holland has been.
No doubt. He's so bored. Yesterday he came out while we were down in the clubhouse. He came out with his hair in like this bouffant that he spent like 40 minutes preparing just to come out and show the rest of the team. He's so bored, so much energy, he was doing his hair in the clubhouse.
Well, Adrian Beltre's leadoff home run to get the Rangers on the board again. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th. 9-0 Rangers. Rangers Treasure Chest is the place to go for great Rangers tickets. And during the season, the Treasure Chest will be filled with great deals on tickets and special seat locations. Current Treasure Chest special is good for a $7 upper reserve ticket. The Angels series, that's April 13th through the 15th. All you have to do is visit TexasRangers.com/treasure chest to check out deals today. Now Ben Zobrist out on one pitch. And now Billy Butler comes up. Butler 0 for 2 this afternoon. He's popped out and struck out. His 3 hits given up by Nick Martinez through the first 6 innings of work here this afternoon. Spinning a dandy, and it didn't hurt that the Rangers jumped out with 3 runs in the first, added 2 more in the third, and 3 more in the fourth. But Nick Martinez has done a great job of putting up zeros.
There's been a couple of offensive outbursts in this series. There's been 4 really nice pitching performances, too. Obviously, Sonny Gray and Scott Kazmir were at the top of their game. Colby Lewis was terrific. He won a game the Rangers needed to win after losing the opener. And now Nick Martinez, after the Rangers got bombed last night, he's coming back and pitching as well as any of them today.
Sure is. 24-year-old Floridian from Hialeah, Florida. Lives in Miami. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Butler. He bangs a base hit through the hole on the left side. So the streak continues every other inning. The A's have had a base hit. And before Ike Davis comes up, let's take time for a Mazda game break. Once again, here's Aaron Hardigan. Aaron.
All right, thanks, guys. Drama in Houston, where the Indians had a no-hitter going into the 9th when former Oakland A Jed Lowry would break that up with a homer. Tribe would still get the win, though. 5-1, your final. But Indians, no-no, a no-no, Buzz.
All right, Aaron, thank you. It was a
Astros are pretty good at breaking those things up in the 9th inning.
Late. Yeah. It was going to be a four pitcher combination for a no-no. Trevor Bauer started that one for Cleveland and worked 6 innings, struck out 11 and walked 5. Ike Davis struck out both times. He has faced Nick Martinez today. Nick has struck out 5. Had just 1 walk to the ledger. Working here with Billy Butler at first and 1 out in the 7th. Two and 1 now. Carlos Corcoran. His time behind home plate today, and did a masterful job the other night handling Colby Lewis and company. That Ranger 3-1 victory on Tuesday night. A lot said about how Carlos Corcoran handled Keone Kela that ball game. Kela, of course, went out and gave up a hit and a walk and got himself in immediate trouble, and then kind of settled things down. And Corcoran kind of guided him through pitch selection in a very tight situation. Kela and Ranger coaching staff really crediting Corcoran for his veteran presence. That and Prince Fielder. Fielder went over and said something.
Yeah, he calmed him down at first.
Yeah.
Then that changeup, the 3-2 changeup to Simeon turned into the double play grounder. That was a gutsy call.
Just off the outside corner, ball 4. And for the first time this afternoon, the A's have 2 runners aboard at the same time. Second walk issued by Nick Martinez. And with that walk, that is going to elicit a call to the bullpen for the Rangers. They're going to get some folks up and throwing down there. Nick, right at the 90 pitch level as Mike Maddox makes the trip out to the mound. And speaking of Keone Kela, he is up there throwing right now. Well, while we have a moment here, we'd like to remind you to join the conversation tomorrow, Ranger fans. Show your Ranger spirit tweet and Instagram your photos to @FS Southwest and @Rangers using hashtag Rangers Opening Day, and you could be on TV. Tom and I probably will be, no matter what we tweet, but I'd like to get you into the conversation. It's going to be a great day, the home opener. We have a 3-hour pregame for you on Fox Sports Southwest. Take you right up to the first pitch at 3 o'clock. Run Lowry. A breaking ball first pitch, no surprise there, and check swing for a strike.
Yeah, he struggled hitting the breaking ball, and especially in this kind of a situation where he's aggressive and anxious with men in scoring position, with a man in scoring position, men on base.
Hitting pretty well to center field. Martin going back has room. About halfway back on the track, makes the catch. Tagging at second. Moving on to third, Billy Butler, but that is out number 2. And runners now at the corners for Mark Canha.
They did a nice job in that at bat hitting the breaking ball. They almost launched it 400 feet to center field, and it wasn't a bad pitch.
Mark Canha 1 for 2. Had a single back in the third. Routed to a fielder's choice in the 5th inning. Martinez drops in the good curveball for strike 1.
Nick Martinez had one outing last year in Anaheim where he went a full 7 innings. Trying to duplicate that today.
Goes Davis, and the pitch is chopped foul, so Ike Davis will have to retreat to first base. The count moves to no balls and 2 strikes.
This will be pitch number 95 for Nick, so if he can get through this inning, get the last out, 7 full innings, that would probably be it for him today, you would think. First start out.
Yep. Be a good outing for the 24-year-old right-hander. 0-2. To left field, Rua almost in his tracks. Couple of steps toward the line. That will do it. The shutout continues. No runs, 1 hit, 2 men are left. On to the 8th we go. It's the Rangers 9. A big day for you tomorrow. The Rangers home opener, a 3 o'clock start, and prior to that, 3 hours of pregame baseball activity for you. The extravaganza beginning at noon tomorrow on Fox Sports Southwest. I have Fox Sports Southwest girls there. We have Jeff Bannister. Got a whole bunch of tailgating out of the ballpark. All kinds of things going on. 3 hours with you for the pregame. Right up to the 3 o'clock first pitch tomorrow afternoon. Well, R.J. Alvarez has come out of the bullpen for the A's to take over here in the 8th inning. Saw Alvarez work in last night's ball game. Facing Rougned Odor. He swings at the first pitch and drives it to deep right field. Going back is Zobrist at the wall. Goodbye. 4th Ranger home run of the day as Rougned Odor gets into the round tripper column. 10-0 Texas.
Rougned on the board as far as a base hit goes this year. He sure made the best out of his first base hit of the season. Launched it to right center field.
Rougned got that pitch right down in his wheelhouse and did not miss it. Well, Alvarez gives up the round tripper. Rangers with 4 home runs. Well, they waited until their 4th game and made up for lost time. Corcoran chops one foul. And some defensive changes. Greg Gentry into the ballgame. He takes over in right field. Tyler Ladendorf is the new 3rd baseman now. Corcoran not able to catch up with that Alvarez fastball. Corcoran 1 for 2. He's been on base a couple of times, a single and a hit by pitch. Got him swinging.
Good fastball. Just about every fastball he throws is right at 94 miles an hour.
Number 2.
Oh, Alvarez gives up the home run, comes back to strike out Corcoran. 1 away. And back to the top of the Ranger order. Orleonis Martin. Martin walked to lead the game off. Got the offense started in that 1st inning. Came around to score the 1st run. Pops that first pitch from Alvarez up. Left side of the diamond. Ladendorf, the new 3rd baseman. That is out number 2. Well, Leonis back to the dugout. 0 for 4 today and 3 for 16. The first 4 games of the season. Here's Chin-Soo, 2 for 4 this afternoon. A single and a 3-run home run. He took a little bit off that. Had a pretty good sinker on it. And Nick Martinez may be through for the afternoon. Keone Kela continuing to loosen, and he is apparently ready in the bullpen if needed. Side corner for a strike. Nick Martinez right at 100 pitches, or just shy of it, I guess he is. Great outing today for him, though. Alvarez back to the plate, way inside. Jackknifing out of the way. Chin-Soo Choo, and the count moves to 2-1. Most home runs in a ball game for the Rangers since last August the 5th against the White Sox. That was the 2 home run day that Adam Rosales had. Is half those. Two and 2 now. Well, the Rangers didn't hit a lot of home runs as a team in spring training either, and got off to a little bit of a slow start. Pitch Moreland got him going on the right path, and 3 of his teammates followed. The 2-2. Got him swinging. Now the leadoff home run by Odor gets the Rangers on the board yet again. We'll move to the bottom of the 8th. Rangers 10, A's nothing. Well, back on Tuesday night, you remember Keone Kela came into the ball game and got himself in a hot water. Base hit, a walk, and a visit from Prince Fielder with the bases loaded. Next hitter, he got the strikeout. And then Kela on a 3-2 pitch to Marcus Semien. It threw a changeup, got a ground ball double play, got out of the jam with no runs scored. And a celebration ensued between the mound and first base. And boy, everybody really happy for Keone Kela. He is on now, taking over for Nick Martinez. The game not quite as close as it was on Tuesday night. That was a 3-1 game. Here it's 10-0. And a little looper is going to fall in left center field off the bat of Sogard for a leadoff single.
Hey, good fastball by Keone. Jammed him. Seen several of those fall in today. Pretty good pitches by the pitcher. Not solid contact by the hitter, but they ended up with a base hit anyway.
Oh, Keone Kela, the 21-year-old from Seattle, Washington. He's at the leadoff bloop single. Now Marcus Semien. Good fastball. Knee high, strike one. Semien, a strikeout and a ground out against Nick Martinez today. Martinez, 7 innings of shutout baseball, just 4 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. 1-1. So between Colby Lewis and Nick Martinez, 13 innings of work in this series and just 1 run. Hit well to left field. Rua back. That ball is off the wall on a hop. He drops it, so Sogard is going to continue around third and will score. The double by Semien, probably an error on Rua to allow the run to score, but in any event, it's a 10-1 Ranger lead.
Semien's got a little bit of pop in his bat. Got a pitch about belt high and out over the plate. Put a pretty good swing on it. Pretty good pitch to hit. Took advantage of it. Between AAA and the big leagues last year, Semien hit 21 home runs, so he's got a little bit of power for a shortstop.
Well, that takes the A's back to the top of their order now. It's Sam Fuld. Fuld 0 for 3 on 3 fly balls. 3 pretty deep fly balls. Kela fires a strike at the knees. It is 0-1. Well, apparently the official score is being generous, not giving an error.
Yeah, he had slowed up to stop at third base.
Yeah.
He was not going to score on that play till it bounced out of his bobbled out of his hand.
That just gives Semien an RBI on the double. That's out of play, and the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes. Kela, solidly built, 6'1" right-hander. Back with the pitch, just a little bit low, and it's 2-2. Kela back to the plate. Right back to him. Taking out at first, Moreland gets to the bag. That is out number 1, and Marcus Semien scrambling back to the bag is on all fours right at second. So 1 gone. Stephen Vogt, the scheduled hitter, is going to be replaced by Josh Phegley.
Number 19, Josh Phegley.
Well, the other catcher, Josh Phegley, who caught last night's game, will come on as a pinch hitter for Vogt. Vogt ended up 1 for 3 today. And Kello drops that breaking ball in for strike 1. The breaking ball, and that one hung a little bit high. Phegley was 2 for 5 in last night's game. Had a pair of singles, scored a run. Got Semien out at second base with 1 out here in the 8th inning. Pops it up. Way up there and moving right onto the line, now backing up. Mitch Moreland handles it. That is out number 2. You're right, Tom. Looking up in the sky, when there are no clouds here, you can't pick anything out. I mean, it just looks like it goes forever. You get a little haze like it is now, a little high cloudiness. At least the fielders have some background to look up to.
Yeah, and remember the one at the end of the season that Josh Hamilton missed in center field here, lost it in the sun. It's right in the middle of the field, and you look up and center fielder, shortstop, second baseman's looking right into the sun.
Ben Zobrist replaced by Craig Gentry. Zobrist finished 0 for 3, and Gentry with his first at-bat of the afternoon.
Well, Zobrist had a big start to this 4-game series. He had the 2-run homer his first at-bat, hit a double right after that. Has not done much since then, though. Rangers have cooled him off.
Two balls, no strikes to Gentry. Kello back to the plate. And ball 3. Gentry looking for his first hit of 2015, 0 for 11 in the first 3 games. A strike on the inner part. Three and 1. Ball 4. And Mike Maddox going to make a quick trip out to the mound, see if he can get Keone back in the frame of mind where he can throw consistent strikes.
He's thrown 19 pitches, 10 balls, 9 strikes.
Mike out there along with Carlos Corcoran, and a lot of encouragement going on. More action in the Ranger bullpen just in case it's needed this inning. Roman Mendez up and loosening, just beginning to throw down there now. Billy Butler stepping to the plate as runners at first and second with 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Butler is 1 for 3 today. 5 for 15 for the series. Breaking ball. That stayed up high for ball 1.
He showed the base hit that Butler had against Keone in that second game. A hard shot into left field on a high fastball.
Woods off the plate inside, 2-0. Geller's next pitch. 2-1. showing you that last pitch just nudging the bottom of the strike zone. Good breaking ball that drops in. 2-2. Semien, the runner at second. He is trailed by Craig Gentry over at first. Beltre has it at third. And that will do it. The A's get on the board. They get a run on 2 hits and strand 2. We have finished 8 in Oakland. It's the Rangers 10, the A's 1 on Fox Sports Southwest.
About done here with their 4 games set in Oakland, and right now enjoying the score as we wrap up this opening series. And coming up next, it is back home to host the Houston Astros, the home opener tomorrow, as we show you our next telecast, brought to you by AT&T Uverse, and it will be Derek Holland making his season debut, that very meaningful home opening start, and especially meaningful to him as he missed the first 5 months of last season. The Astros will come to town 1-2 on the early season, and we'll get all the festivities started for you. First pitch 3 o'clock, but as we've been reminding you, we've got that 3-hour pregame, and don't forget lots of extra security measures as well. So lots of extra time tomorrow, guys.
All right, Dana, thank you. We head to the 9th inning, and the closer for the Oakland A's, Tyler Clippard, on now.
Yeah, just hasn't had much of an opportunity to come into the games he's normally accustomed to, and at this stage of the series, Bob Melvin decided he has to get him in, get him some work. Don't want to go 4 straight days without pitching.
Oh, and Adrian Beltre hits one way up in the air to right center field. Sam Fuld over into the alley and makes the catch for out number 1. You know, Beltre now 2 for 5 with a home run and a single, getting into the positive offensive columns today. One gone for Prince Fielder. Now, Clippard came over from the Washington Nationals. He spent the last 6 seasons in Washington, 1 year as their closer, had 32 saves back in 2012. A's without Sean Doolittle, who's on the disabled list, looking for a closer, and Clippard is going to fill that bill here for the at least the near term. And Prince Fielder hits one up the chute, way up in the air to shallow center. Again, Fuld coming in to make the grab. There are 2 gone.
Now batting, number 16.
Oh, good to see for the Rangers that both Beltre and Fielder have 2 hits apiece today. Each of them has an RBI, and that's it's important to get that middle of the order going. 2 outs, bases empty for Ryan Rua, who also has a couple of hits, both of them singles. right center. That's dropping in a hurry. Full. Can't get it. It is down and by Gentry, so Rua just continuing on into second.
Now that's a double right there.
That is.
Sam Fuld surrounded that ball. He went back on it, curved around, came in, it bounced by him, and it got by Gentry too. Yeah, a good day for Ryan. Had the tough game last night. He had a couple of singles the first time up, scored a run. Now here in the ninth inning, he's got at least a single. I guess I don't think they'll give anybody an error on that. They'll give him a double.
Well, that is the 12th base hit for the Rangers this afternoon to go along with their 10 runs. Here's Mitch Moreland. It was just off the outer corner. 1 ball, no strikes. Moreland, sacrifice fly in the first inning. And in the third inning, went the opposite way over the scoreboard in left field for his first home run of the year, a 2-run shot. Clippard with a nasty split finger pitch that he uses so effectively. 1 ball, 1 strike. Clippard, a 30-year-old. He's from Lexington, Kentucky. Came over in exchange for Escobar, shortstop. Clippard, you were originally signed by the Yankees back in 2003 out of Port Richey, Florida. Off the outer edge, and the count goes to 3-1. Clippard, after a long look, is ready. The dirt. Fagley, the new catcher, has to block that one, and Mitch Moreland is aboard again, this time with a walk. Now to bring up Elvis Andrus for his 5th at bat.
I'll give Elvis a chance to get on base. He's the, I think, only Ranger not to reach base today. He's 0 for 4 in the ball game. Hit the ball hard his first time up with men on first and third. Brett Lowry made a beautiful play on a 1-hop smash that looked like it was headed to left field. Ended up being a double play.
Back to the screen goes the foul ball. It's 0-1. Yeah, defensively, this has been kind of an odd series. The Rangers have committed 6 errors in the series. The A's with 3 today, and they've committed 6. It's been back and forth. Check swing, and the pitch just inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Clippard's next pitch. And that's back into the seats. The Rangers coming back home. We mentioned Derek Holland getting the call tomorrow in the home opener against the Astros. Colin McHugh will start for Houston. Saturday night it'll be Giovanni Gallardo and Roberto Hernandez, the 8th one, going for Houston. And then Sunday afternoon, Kobe Lewis and Dallas Keuchel. Yeah, you get the pictures of the headshots of the guys there too. McHugh and Hernandez, Keuchel, Holland, Gallardo, and Lewis. Both teams starting their second time around the rotation. Gallardo, after working opening night here in Oakland, second start. Backing out of play. Both the Rangers and the A's are playing 10 straight games to open the series, or open the season. A little unusual, but
yeah. Jeff Bannister said it's the first time he's been with a big league team where they didn't have the second day of the season off. And a lot of the teams in the bad weather areas will have the second day off to protect the opener.
Elvis drives one to left field. Canna shading his eyes with a glove just shy of the warning track, and that will do it for the Rangers. No runs a hit. 2 men are left. We're going to the bottom of the ninth inning. Rangers leading 10-1 on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by your Texas Ford dealers. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. Bottom of the ninth inning, Roman Mendez comes on for his second outing of the opening series. And he deals to Ike Davis for strike one and the foul ball. Roman Mendez on Monday against these Athletics gave up a run on a couple of hits in one inning of work. Big right-hander set to work back to the plate. Nothing and 2. And Mendez featuring a pretty nasty split-fingered pitch himself. That, much harder than the pitch that Tyler Clippard throws. The little check swing, excuse me, down the third baseline that rolls off into foul territory. Mendez, a 24-year-old out of San Pedro, the Dominican Republic. 6'3", 235 pounds. No balls, 2 strikes. Pretty lively fastball, too, at 94 that just missed low. Rangers 10 runs on a dozen hits this afternoon. The A's 1 run on half a dozen hits. They've committed all 3 errors. Counted 4 in this game, and Ike Davis frozen at home plate. He is gone on strikes.
He didn't like the call in the 5th inning. He probably didn't like that one either. That looked like a slider, cut fastball, about 85 miles an hour. Might have started out just off the outside corner, and it's going to come back and catch the bottom of the strike zone right on the corners. very little he could do with that pitch.
One away, and here's Brett Lowry now, who is 1 for 3. Or excuse me, Leidendorf. Did not write him in my book when he took over for Lowry at third base.
Shame on you.
I know it.
Leidendorf looks like he could be a help to the A's this year in a utility role. He's got the ability to play a number of different positions. Went from the infield back to the outfield yesterday.
Leidendorf joining Canna in that Major League debut last night. They made some A's history. Matter of fact, they both broke in, both got their first Major League hits in their first Major League at-bats. And that was the first time that two A's had their first hit in the same game since 2000. Terrence Long and Adam Pyatt did that.
Also, was another note about them. I think they're the first two players to have more than one RBI in the same game in a long time, too.
Yeah, that's the first time since the RBI became an official stat in 1920 that's happened.
The two guys in their first game in the same game had more than two or more RBIs.
Two or more in the same game, yeah.
Pretty good.
While making their Major League debut. Well, the A's now down to their final out. Mark Canna, a base hit and 3 trips. Mendez missing just a little bit high for ball 1. Mendez trying to lock this up, get the Rangers back even for the series and for the season. Equals a strike. Rangers continue the streak of pretty good play in the first month of the season. Last several years they've been over 500 by quite a bit on in the first month. That will do it as Elvis waits for it to come down, and that is a winner for the Rangers. 10-1 the final here this afternoon. 10 runs on 12 hits and no errors for the Rangers. Nick Martinez continues to dominate in the daytime. That is his fifth, I should say, daytime victory in his 6 Major League decisions in the winning column. He does it again today, and he had plenty of offensive help. Rangers with 4